Hi, today is Wednesday, July 15th, 2026. Tomorrow, I'll be in Tianjin, China. That's the eastern port facing Korea, and it's about 1 hour drive from Beijing. So I like Chinese. I like China, right? I don't know. I'm just neutral, but I'm learning Chinese. So Chinese language is interesting, quite similar to Korean. We share like 95% of the vocabulary with a different pronunciation. Our Korean language is more refined and very practical and easy to understand and quite easy to read and write in Korean. I heard that you can do it in 2.5 hours top, but mostly after 1 week or 2 weeks, you can read and write Korean language. Although you cannot understand the whole context, at least you can read and write Korean language, Korean words. Recently, I invested in the SK Hynix and Samsung Electronics, Samsung Electric, and Samsung SDI, and what else? Hyundai Motors, Kia Motors, and everything. My stock prices skyrocketed and then flopped recently, and I wonder what happened. As a competitor to Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix, TSMC is a concern for me as an investor. So let's find out what is going on with the TSMC. And here we go. This article is from Semi-Wiki. I think Semiconductor Wiki, right? The open forum for semiconductor professionals. Angry TSMC employees considering strikes, unionizing over employee bonuses and report claims. I think they are not unionized and they are not striking the TSMC yet, because Taiwanese are very friendly, kind, and amicable people. They will never challenge their authorities. Not many demonstrations so far. But in the parliament, I see politicians hit each other with fists, maybe bong or the batons, and they just grab their opponents' hairs and fight, and I don't know. So Taiwanese are usually very smooth people. They will not challenge authorities. So unlike Samsung Electronics or SK Hynix labor union, TSMC employees will never ever form a union, and they will not go on a strike against their TSMC. But let's find out why they are mad. It's about money, I think. This article was written on July 2nd, 2026. Fred Chan, moderator. By Luke James, published May 26th, 2026. The world's largest chipmaker is building 12 fabs at once, and workers say they are footing the bill. Yeah, they have to work, right? Footing the bill. They have to pay for what is required, right? Footing the bill. My daughter wants to go to the UK for her college education, and I have to foot the bill as a father. Company reportedly considering 15% payout cut to fund capex despite record revenues fueled by AI surge. TSMC employees are openly discussing forming a union and staging a strike after rumors spread that the company plans to cut performance bonuses by approximately 15%. That's bullshit, according to a DigiTimes report published today. The rumored haircut comes despite TSMC posting a record first quarter net profit of Taiwanese dollar, right? NT $572.5 billion or $17.9 billion, a 58% year-over-year increase, driven by surging AI chip demand. Wow, 58% year-over-year increase, driven by surging AI chip demand. This one, right? We can use this expression in some other areas. Driven by surging AI chip demand. Workers say the company's historical practice of returning roughly 13% of retained earnings as employee bonuses has been cut, even as profits climb, and they are pointing to Samsung's recent union deal as a template for action. Yeah, Samsung, if you're a Samsung Electronics worker, you'd get 500,000 US dollars, I think. You should look for the information on your own. TSMC responded by saying it expects employee profit sharing bonuses to grow faster in 2026 than in 2025, and that it is fully aware of its growing corporate social responsibility in Taiwan. DigiTimes reported the most likely explanation for the rumored cut, according to analysts cited by South Korean and Taiwanese media, is TSMC's CAPEX program. TSMC's CAPEX program. The company is spending $52 billion to $56 billion annually while constructing 12 new fabs across the US, Japan, Germany, and Taiwan to secure its lead in 2 nanometer and 1.4 nanometer manufacturing. That outlay appears to be tightening the cash available for employee compensation. I like that idea, right? Instead of bestowing huge sums of money as a profit-sharing bonuses to their own employees, they should invest more so that they could be prepared for another surge, another drive in AI sector demand. Based on 2025 earnings, the average TSMC employee bonus was approximately NT $2.64 million, or roughly $87,000. Wow, that's a lot. With a total bonus pool reaching around NT $206.1 billion. What the? According to Taiwan's Liberty Times, frustrations have risen around the ratio of profits going to employees. The unrest at TSMC has identified in the wake of Samsung's landmark union deal last week. Samsung narrowly avoided an 18-day factory shutdown by agreeing to allocate 10.5% of its semiconductor division's operating profit as stock-based bonuses, plus another 1.5% in cash over a 10-year period. So they agreed to allocate 10.5% of the semiconductor division's operating profit as stock-based bonuses, plus another 1.5% in cash over a 10-year period. That deal translates to projected average payouts of roughly $340,000 US per chip division employee in 2026, based on recent estimates of Samsung's operating profit. SK Hynix agreed to a similar structure last September, setting aside 10% of operating profit for employee bonuses. The comparison is undoubtedly painful for TSMC workers who have no union and no formal mechanism to negotiate collectively. The company has operated without a labor union since its founding in 1987. Employee frustration has spilled onto Dcard, a Taiwanese workplace community, and dedicated TSMC Facebook pages where workers have posted complaints ahead of TSMC's shareholder meeting scheduled for May 28th at the company's Hsinchu headquarters. Some have asked whether forming a union would violate Taiwanese law, and others argue that the company prioritizes shareholder returns and overseas expansion over its workforce. Doris Su, chairperson of silicon wafer manufacturer Global Wafers, has weighed in on the broader debate, saying that across Global Wafers' 18 factories in 9 countries, some have unions and some don't, and that the key factor in business performance is whether a company shares profits with workers or whether a union exists. Samsung's deal, meanwhile, is already facing legal pushback. A shareholder lawsuit challenges the agreement on the grounds that committing a fixed percentage of operating profit to employee payouts over a decade conflicts with the capital demands of chip making at scale. I agree. Too much money, man. Too much money for Samsung employees. I am a telecom employee, and we get paid miserable amount of bonus, and Samsung employees get paid a huge amount of money, like 6억 won each year. That's bullshit, man, right there. Samsung's deal, meanwhile, is already facing legal pushback, right? Already facing legal pushback. A shareholder lawsuit challenges agreement on the grounds that committing a fixed percentage of operating profit sharing to employee payouts over a decade conflicts with the capital demands of chip making at scale. Employee payouts, right? Employee payouts on the grounds is already facing legal pushback on the grounds employee payouts is already facing legal pushback. Well, this article was quite informational. I hope all the best for TSMC employees, but I wish SK Hynix and Samsung Electronics top TSMC, right? Because I'm an investor into SK Hynix and Samsung Electronics. I want my money back, right? I am also money monster. I like money. But I also want justice for employees. Let's read more. Complicated problem. Incentives for wage-earning employees. Incentives aren't aligned with those of long-term investors. And in both boom and bust years, there's never enough cash to please them both. Was a big issue in the late 70s in the US. We know how that one turned out. Boom and bust years, right? Boom and bust years. I'm not sure if it's a boom and bust years for AI chip makers. I wish the AI boom continues into year 2028 so that I could sell my stock in SK Hynix and Samsung Electronics next year, right? When I sell my stock and the market plunges, it's not my responsibility. The world's largest chip maker is building 12 fabs at once, and workers say they are footing the bill. The company reportedly considering 15% payout cut to fund haircut. He said haircut to fund capex despite record revenues fueled by AI surge. Time to crush the workers. Show them who is boss now. Shareholders are number one priority in all publicly listed companies. Are they not? Is the remit of all CEO no? Complicated problem. Incentives for wage-earning employees. Incentives aren't aligned with those of long-term investors. Interesting, you mentioned productivity. That what used to drive productivity in semiconductors was scaling. The increases could be spread around, some to customers, some to employees, some to shareholders. Now, bonding chips together seems to be driving productivity, at least for some applications. As the chip stacks contain more and more of the cost of goods sold, everyone touching that stack has more and more leverage over the costs. It's a bottleneck. Like unloading those massive cargo vessels at the port of Long Beach or LA, the invisible people unloading the vessels or bonding the chips, now they are visible. They have leverage. Assembled products were cheaper in the past, but now there's 100K of GS in the AI server processors spread among the HBM, the processor, and the graphics chips. I hope you have a lot of insight and the share of their ideas. Thanks for listening. But before we go, let's go back and see what I try to remember. Is already facing legal pushback on the grounds On the grounds, employee payouts on the grounds is already facing legal setback, driven by surging AI chip demand, driven by surging AI chip demand, driven by surging AI chip demand. Well, that's it. Have a great day. Bye-bye.